Hey folks, my name's Joe. Joe Hess, this is my friend Debbie Dohne, and we're just going to talk a little bit about Debbie's story. Back in September,
September 30th.
You weren't feeling so great. Can you share just a little bit how that story began to unfold for you guys?
Well, September 30th, I had been feeling just tired and out of breath easily. So there had been a couple of cases of COVID, so I called my doctor to see if I could come in for a test. And the test was negative, so she said she was concerned I might have a blood clot, so she sent me to Littleton ER. And within moments, my life changed forever.
Wow. Remind me, you had sort of a tooth thing going on that had not healed.
I kept getting an infection.
Mm-hmm. And in hindsight, that was probably an indicator of what was going on. And can you share at the ER what they took some blood, or?
They did blood work because the EKG all came out normal, and the doctor came in and said that she was really sorry, but they had found my white blood count was extremely high, higher than they'd ever seen at Littleton.
Wow.
And
they weren't high-fiving you at that time.
Not the record you want to set.
No.
But they came in and just basically said with it being that high, it was some kind of cancer. And then with further testing, she came back in and said I had leukemia.
This was all in the ER at Littleton Hospital. Literally a stone's throw from where we have worked. Debbie is kids minister, kids pastor at South Suburban Church, and gifted at that. But you went right? Did they admitted you in the hospital that day?
They admitted me, and it's all kind of blurry to me now, but I was there for a few days, and then they transferred me
to St.
Luke's Cancer Center.
What was it like when they told you the C word?
You know, it wasn't a total shock because I think I've been fearing that would happen because both of my parents had it.
But you're saying your mom and dad both had cancer, died from cancer, so it was a cloud way in the back of your mind.
My mom was 69 when she passed, and I'm about to turn 68, so it was kind of in that time frame.
Wow. So fast forward, you get the diagnosis, and it's not a good kind of, there are different kinds of leukemia, right? They're across the spectrum from people who just carry on everyday life to your cancer, which was the worst kind of cancer. I remember, Debbie, when they diagnosed it as the nasty cancer. I'm not sure where your husband Randy was, but I think Steph or one of your daughters was there, and you got the news. I remember, I think Cindy and I came to visit, and you had just found out. And I'm not sure if you remember that, but it's just a blur. What's been the biggest challenge of this leukemia journey?
Oh goodness, there's been several, but the first was just I was so sick.
Yeah. And sick from the treatment, sick from the chemo.
Right, the chemo. They gave me some really aggressive chemo, and it was making me have fainting episodes and a lot of nausea.
Yes. Well, and I remember visiting you, and you had the feeding tube.
That was probably the hardest thing for me.
Yeah, just seeing you struggle with that was tough. But there seemed to be, as they're treating you, for all of the side effects of the drugs, it was just like, okay, everything that could go wrong was going wrong. Especially with your stomach.
At one point they sent me home, and I wasn't even home 12 hours before I had a fainting episode and had to go back, and at that time they found
The bug in
the
your
bug
lungs.
in my lungs,
Oh.
yes.
And was that because of the cancer or because of the treatment, or who knows? It could have been there and it was...
They just said that your autoimmune system is down, that we probably all carry that, but it had started to grow in my lungs. And so they put me on an aggressive IV medication that was almost as nasty as the chemo.
Right. Was there, two questions. Was there ever a time you were saying to yourself or to Randy or to God, this is too much?
I think I thought it. I knew that Randy and the kids didn't want to hear that.
Yeah.
So I kept that to myself if I did think it. But there were times that I thought, I'm just so tired.
Yeah.
And I'm just so sick.
Yeah. It's like a marathon.
I don't want more.
Yeah, yes. I remember you guys sharing with us, part of the story was your oncologist had a similar... Share some of your oncologist story, because I think that's unique to how he cared for you.
Yeah, I think he was about 14 when he was diagnosed with leukemia, and went through a lot of what he's treating patients for now. So I think he has a first-hand knowledge.
Different empathy than a lot of other oncologists might have. Shmika is my word. He has authority to say, I know this sucks, but I think I can help you.
Yeah. And I think when we all met as a family with him to talk about the bone marrow transplant, we just said, if I was your mother, what would you tell her to do?
Wow.
And he said, I'd tell her to do it.
Wow. Because there was a
and I said, I'm going to trust you.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, gosh. I can't imagine. I can.
Because I wasn't sure I wanted to do that.
Right. Because weren't you at least...
There's risk with bone marrow transplant.
Right. Because you were, at least at some earthly level, you were cancer-free after the treatment.
Right.
But there was a good chance cancer would come back.
Wow.
Fast forward to when the bone marrow transplant is to occur. How was that the scariest? Was that where, like, okay, I trust you, doctor and God?
I just had to trust God and the doctors because it was something I had no familiarity with.
Yeah. And someone from halfway around the world, Germany, or some young 19-year-old. I picture some spike-haired kid with tattoos and
just got his first tattoo.
Oh, he's behind the times. But I just I can't imagine how scary that was that day. Was that turning point in the process, or that was just another step in the journey?
That was kind of just another step that I knew I needed to get through. And then I was just afraid my body would reject it right away.
Because you had, if I remember right, 19 days or 18 days in the hospital to see if your body would accept it. You had to be saying, okay, is this the day my body rejects?
Right.
Is this the day?
They told me some things to watch for, and I started to get a rash. I thought, here we go.
Wow. But you made it through that time. And then finally we're allowed to come home. And you've been home ever since, or I know you go to the doctors like routinely.
It was 3 times a week, now it's twice a week.
Okay. And so far, indications are that your body's accepting it. But you're halfway through sort of that grace period, I guess.
Yeah. Day 60 of the first 100 days.
Wow. And I think Randy, your husband, was sharing that 100 days, which is some magical number that they, I guess, through trials, that if you can make it through 100, you're doing okay. You're doing good. And that's
Easter.
That's Easter. That's a pretty a good indication of a new life. If somebody if you bumped into somebody that was diagnosed with the same kind of cancer as you've been, that you were diagnosed, that you fought through, what would you say? What words would you say to them or to their family?
Like, I don't know. I think every family has to kind of weigh all the options. I felt like I was pretty tough. I think I am.
Oh, hey, let me just say, you and my buddy, your husband, I don't think we could do what you have done. I would have said maybe a big rock will fall on my head or something.
But I think that you have to be pretty tough and pretty determined because it's not for sissies.
Well, but it wasn't just one day, it was day after day after day.
Took it a day at a time,
yeah.
So I guess that would be my best advice to someone.
Yeah.
You know, take it a day at a time and
one day at a time to get through. Because I remember
one goal at a time, you know.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Debbie, for sharing.
You're welcome.
You are a testimony to fighting the good fight. And my sense is that God has just done amazing things, and God will use your story somehow.
I certainly hope so. I hope He's not through with me.
Yeah. No, my guess is that you have a bunch of zip left in your doodah, and I look forward to seeing how God uses that. So thanks for talking to us today.
Thank you.
Here's a question from the crowd: can you describe your walk with God during this time? How was that relationship?
I would say that it makes me realize how important it is that walk was going on every day of my life for many years, because it's such a shock and you're so overwhelmed that I just had to rely on songs and scriptures and things from my memory, because there was no opening my Bible and concentrating to read at that time.
Yes.
So all that scripture memorization as a kid paid off, because I had all of those to fall back on.
Did you have one text that was, I need to say this over and over and over again?
I had several, but I'm trying to think. I think the main thing I kept saying over and over was, you want to make sure you're prepared, because you don't know when your last breath is going to be at the beginning there. And I kept going over the ABCs I teach the kids.
Yes.
Admit that you're a sinner from Romans 3:23, and then believe
in Jesus.
Confess Him with your mouth.
Yeah.
So I kept going over all of those in the scriptures that I teach the kids to go along with that.
Yes. This past Monday night, we were part of a small group gathering, and one of the participants shared the 5 things you need to share with everyone in our lives before we die. I think it was, will you forgive me? I forgive you. Thank you. I love you. Goodbye. Does some of that resonate with you?
Yeah.
Hopefully not the goodbye part.
Hopefully not the goodbye part, but I knew that was a possibility.
Yeah.
You're certainly faced with your mortality.
How, let's 2 months down the road, you're feeling like your old self. Looking back on this time, what will you say, do you think?
That, the fact that I made it through this, He must have some purpose for me still, and just to continue to try to do all I can to bring others closer to Him.
Well, you are good at it, my friend. Thank you. Thanks, folks. We will see you next time. Again, my friend Debbie Dohne has got a powerful faith story on her journey through leukemia. Cut.